The MCU has adapted hundreds of characters, told massive crossover stories, and reshaped modern blockbuster filmmaking, but despite its size, the MCU still does feel incomplete. Hello everyone and welcome back to AustinPlus Commentary, where today we are discussing, as we are coming close to the major things in the MCU, we are going to need to discuss what is missing as of now. So, without further ado, this is going to be an interesting and long-winded video, so come on, let's do this together. So first of all, the MCU, we need to understand what its strengths and major things that has kept it going for so long. The MCU excels at long-term storytelling and interconnected narratives, but the same structure creates limitations. Certain characters and stories don't fit neatly into the MCU's tone, pacing, or brand strategy, because the MCU is an entertainment brand. That is what it is. It is a company, it's a business, how it works. As the universe expands, gaps become more noticeable, but not because Marvel lacks material, but because some of the richer stories remain just untouched. Because they might seem hard to tackle, which I can understand, but you have to get round to them at some point. There is some characters that are missing in terms of the street level characters and their stories. While the MCU has leaned heavily into the cosmic and multiversal threats, street level storytelling has largely fallen to the side. Characters like Daredevil, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, and street focused villains thrive on grounded conflict, moral ambiguity, and personal stakes. These stories offer something the MCU increasingly lacks, which is why I think they're going down the right route with Daredevil Born Again, because consequences that feel small, painful, and permanent have a long-lasting resonance with audiences than anything else. Now, there is many, as I said, street levels characters that are missing, like the Blade. Moon Knight has really just changed a bit. You are missing a lot. I can't name them off the top of my head. They are missing Luke Cage in the other end of stuff, and Jessica Jones is coming back in Daredevil Born Again, which probably is released by now. But we are missing a lot. Now, there are true villain-led narratives that are just not here, and they would make such good movies or shows just before Doomsday. Now, most MCU villains exist to serve a hero's arc, not their own. The comics, however, are full of villain-centered stories that explore ideology, obsession, and power without redemption arcs. Characters like Doctor Doom, Norman Osborn, and Magneto deserve plot lines where they drive the narrative, which is why I do think Doctor Doom, the Doomsday film, will be good because it is based around him. But Norman Osborn, perfect show, or even have him in make a tiny cameo in the Brand New Day. Magneto, yes, they're bringing back Ian McKellen, but they need their own. They shouldn't be characters that just oppose the hero. They need to be threatening. The MCU is still missing a villain who feels like the protagonist with their own story. I would love to see a Magneto-led story in the MCU. That would be peak. Now, there's obviously the debate with mutants and all that, because with mutants entering the MCU, there is an opportunity. The X-Men are at their best when they explore fear, discrimination, and identity through their metaphor. These stories require nuance and discomfort. So far, the MCU have just avoided truly political storytelling. Without embracing the edge, mutant stories just risk becoming hollow spectacle rather than just a meaningful allegory. Now, there are stories that I do think should deserve their own, sort of show or special presentation with, smaller self-contained plot lines. Because early MCU films worked because they were focused on either a character or a team. Recently, nearly every project feels like the setup for something else, which they don't need to be. Not everything needs to be. What's missing are standalone stories that begin and end cleanly, without teasing 5 future projects. Plots like Demon in a Bottle, Marvels, or even grounded crime arcs would even give the universe a bit of room to breathe, some space, some sort of, yes, a tiny avenue to go down, but just let it be, as the Beatle once said. Oh no, gringe! There are characters that challenge the MCU's tone, because the MCU's tone is very unfamiliar as of this moment. Some Marvel characters don't fit in the MCU's humor forward approach, which is what they're going for right now, and that's exactly why they're missing. Characters like Silver Surfer, Ghost Rider, or a darker Hulk story require sincerity and restraint. Silver Surfer would be a very good show, or a special presentation showing how Like if she knew Shalabal, or if Silver Surfer knew Shalabal, or Ghost Rider, perfect, because we now have Mephisto in there, and a darker Hulk story. We know that Scar is now in it because of She-Hulk, but if imagine that they had a darker Savage Hulk or Maestro, amazing. Not every character should crack jokes, but the MCU needs to tonal contrast to stay emotionally effective, which is why Endgame, Infinity War, and every Spider-Man movie worked. What I think works with this, with the MCU, is the long-term personal consequences, which is why I also think Spider-Man Brand New Day will be peak. One of the biggest missing elements is the lasting consequences. Characters die, return, or move on quickly. Relationships just reset, trauma rarely lingers, and the MCU just needs plot lines where damage is permanent, and where choices reshape characters in ways that they can't even be undone by the next crossover. This is why, as I said, I'm going to link it back to Spider-Man Brand New Day. The story that we're given is probably going to have a very lasting effect, and it will lead until the end of Secret Wars, trust me. So, what characters and plots are missing from the MCU? The MCU isn't missing content, it's just missing balance. You need street-level grit, villain-driven stories, and political allegory with tonal restraint and personal consequences, which are all underrepresented. But in the next year, I think they have the opportunity to do that. If they take a tiny break in between Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars, I think we match something in there that maybe just checks all of those boxes. It's all we need. The question is whether they're willing to slow down and just take risks again, because that's what put the MCU on the map. The people we're missing are the ones that make the universe feel human again, not bigger threats, deeper stories. And if Marvel wants its future to feel as impactful as its past, that's where it needs to be to look next.
Well, no fucking shit.
But without further ado, folks, that is the end of today's video. I do hope you all enjoyed it, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe, and comment what else you would like to see on the channel. But I hope you have an amazing day as always, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Yeah.